His name is Wu Gun, a fat man who is not good at refusing others. People always call him Fat Pig or tell him to go die, or they ask him for help with homework. Because of his appearance, he has been bullied by the strong classmates in the class since he was young. He can only study harder because he believes that after work, people will rely on abilities to judge others and won't call him a disgusting fat man anymore. However, after studying hard, he realized that he was not only a fat man but also a poor student. After graduation, he could only rely on his physique to work as a training partner in the gym, but in the gym, he was still bullied just like in school. Wu Gun cried bitterly, complaining why everyone bullied him. To make matters worse, the manager of the gym actually asked Wu Gun to help him with this month's report. Wu Gun is clearly just a training partner at the gym. Why is he always being asked to do so much? He didn't dare to refuse, because the manager of the gym showed off his muscular physique in front of him, intimidating him. He could only meekly agree, pretending to be happy. You think it ended there? No, other people also used the same method to make Wu Gun help with tasks. Can Wu Gun say anything else? He can only say to everyone, "Just leave everything to me." At midnight, he was still working in front of the computer. He regretted why he didn't refuse earlier, doing so much when it wouldn't even result in a raise. Even more unfortunately, Wu Gun's heart began to feel intense pain. It was then that he remembered the doctor's advice to lose weight, otherwise he might die suddenly. He wanted to pick up his phone to call an ambulance, but his phone was already disconnected due to unpaid bills. It seemed like today he was destined to die. Wu Gun felt that before dying, he must make a change. He couldn't be a disgusting fat man anymore. In the final moment before death, he deleted his cherished 18+ restricted study materials with his own hands. Finally able to die in peace, if there is a next life, Wu Gun would definitely not become a disgusting fat man again. However, unbeknownst to him, due to his blurred consciousness, what he actually clicked was the mass send option instead of delete. The next day, the gym manager was surprised that Wu Gun had finished his report so quickly. He opened the file in front of the leaders, and everyone watched with wide eyes and flushed faces. Inside was a strange moaning video with areas pixelated out. Wu Gun opened his eyes again to find himself reincarnated as a baby, with the identity of the young master of a demonic sect. 20,000 years later, on the continent of Jiuzhou, in the eastern province, Shen Xiaoyu from the Fox Demon clan was calling out Wu Gun's name affectionately. They had agreed to venture out into the outside world together, but now Wu Gun was still dawdling on the back mountain. He had been unconsciously training here for 20,000 years, but he still felt like nothing more than an ordinary person with a bit of strength. He believed that going down the mountain would only cause trouble for the Fox Demon Xiaoyu. Xiaoyu looked shocked, inwardly commenting, "How can an ordinary person lift a mountain?" After repeating the exercise 10,000 times, Wu Gun casually threw the small mountain to the ground, saying that he had finished training and they could go back together. The reason they were hiding in the deep mountains was that the declining demonic sect couldn't protect Wu Gun. To evade pursuit from righteous cultivators, he could only hide in these remote mountains for 20,000 years. If it weren't for the little fox that Wu Gun saved to accompany him, he might have gone crazy from boredom. Due to the lessons from his past life and the experiences of being chased in this life for a full 20,000 years, he has been disciplined in his daily exercises. However, it wasn't until he had exercised for a long time that he realized he had crossed over into a world of cultivation. And just like his name suggests, Wu Gun couldn't cultivate without spiritual roots. Besides the good physique he developed through daily exercise, he felt utterly useless. But the next moment, facing the huge dragon that wanted to eat them, he was able to punch it to death, and the flesh of the dragon became their food for the day. Xiaoyu looked at him with a lovesick expression, thinking to herself, a golden core stage dragon was knocked out with just one punch, truly worthy of being my Gun brother. As Wu Gun was handling the ingredients, a middle-aged man flying on a sword loudly accused them of daring to snatch the dragon he was halfway through hunting. He was Xiao Chuanhua, an intern instructor at the Xuantian Academy. He suspected that they might be remnants of the demonic sect. as he believed only such people would engage in stealing hunted prey. Wu Lingun looked at him, puzzled as to how his identity as a member of the demonic sect had been discerned. He hurriedly explained and then sincerely apologized because he didn't mean any harm. After observing for a while, Xiao Chuanhua realized that they were just a small fox demon and an ordinary person with no spiritual roots. They were entirely manageable, so there was no need to waste any more words. He summoned his long sword and launched a sword technique, the sword art enchanting dance, aiming to attack Wu Lingun. Wu Lingun raised his hand and easily caught the long sword. Xiao Chuanhua fell from the sky in disbelief, unable to believe that his sword had been caught by an ordinary person. Wu Lingun apologized profusely, feeling very embarrassed. He knew that the other person wanted to kill him, yet he still caught the flying sword, which made him feel even more ashamed. In his previous life, he was always bullied and forced to do things for others, never daring to refuse anyone. In the world of cultivation, this fear intensified, leaving Xiao Yu beside him puzzled about what he was doing. Xiao Chuanhua pondered for a moment. It was impossible for an ordinary person to catch his flying sword, so it must have been the result of this fox demon's intervention. However, Xiao Yu argued back, saying that if she had intervened, he would already be a corpse. This left Xiao Chuanhua speechless. Feeling that the two young people were talking nonsense, he launched another sword technique, the sword art enchanting dance, second form, attacking Xiao Yu, but in the same manner, with the same outcome. The flying sword was once again caught steadily. Wu Lingun apologized once again, saying that it was fine to kill him, but Xiao Yu must not be harmed. Meanwhile, Xiao Yu beside him looked lovesick and thought to herself, Lingun brother blocked the flying sword for me. He cares about me. Xiao Chuanhua summoned countless flying swords for the attack this time, refusing to believe that they would all be caught again. However, Wu Lingun caught all the flying swords at an even faster speed, apologizing to the man in front of him that he had caught all of these flying swords. Xiao Chuanhua lay on the ground, facing the terrifyingly powerful young man, unsure of what to say. He stood up, no longer displaying his previous arrogance, and offered a very respectful apology. He said that he now realized they were seniors of the righteous path, and that he had misunderstood earlier. Before leaving, he still hoped to take back the flying swords, but as soon as he spoke, a long sword flew past him like a meteor, landing in the forest behind with a violent explosion. Wu Lingun really couldn't refuse others. With a casual toss of the long sword, he didn't expect it to tear the clothes of the middle-aged man and leave him sweating profusely. Questioning life, he hoisted the dragon's carcass onto his shoulder, feeling that it was time to go back and cook for his parents. As Xiao Yu left, she issued a harsh warning. She didn't want Xiao Chuanhua to breathe a word of what happened today to anyone. Faced with such a threat, the middle-aged man in front of her quickly nodded in agreement. Afterwards, the man and woman left together, leaving Xiao Chuanhua kneeling anxiously on the ground, unaware of the identity of the powerful individuals who had confronted him. However, he felt secretly pleased. As long as he reported this matter to the ancestor of the Xuantian Academy, he was sure that these two demonic cultivators would have a hard time. On their way home, Xiao Yu admirably said that Wu Lingun could defeat even cultivators in the nascent soul stage, yet he still claimed to be an ordinary person. Wu Lingun explained once again that it couldn't possibly be a match for cultivators, and the middle-aged man who attacked was probably just joking with him. However, Xiao Yu corrected him, saying that the middle-aged man clearly wanted to kill him. Wu Lingun was well aware that he was an ordinary person without spiritual roots, which is why he worked even harder to train his body. That reasoning is not wrong, but Xiao Yu feels that it doesn't have to exercise while walking. Nevertheless, she still finds her silly brother very adorable. Once they finished preparing the food, the two of them walked into a cave. Beside it, a sign read, "Beware, demonic cultivators inside. No mercy." Inside the depths of the cave, a group of imprisoned individuals noticed someone entering the cave. With fierce and menacing threats, they declared that this was the territory of the demonic cult, and intruders would die trespassing. They were delighted when they saw that it was Wu Lingun bringing food. They all expressed how much they missed him. These imprisoned individuals, although they didn't look like good people, were actually very kind uncles to him. At this moment, his father, named Wu Di, snorted coldly and complained that Wu Lingan hadn't visited for 6 hours, wondering if he no longer cared about his father. Wu Lingan explained that he was delayed because of hunting and cooking, but internally, he complained that his father really loved to act like a child. Wu Di relentlessly questioned his son, asking if it really took that long to cook a meal. He warned Wu Lingan not to think that being sealed away meant he didn't understand what was happening outside. Then he speculated whether Wu Lingan had been fooled by this little girl into wanting to go down the mountain again. Without waiting for Wu Lingan to explain, he loudly vetoed the idea of his son going down the mountain, stating that it was impossible. Even after being sealed away for 20,000 years, Wu Di still remembered the sinister and cunning nature of those righteous individuals who committed arson, murder, and plunder under the guise of righteousness. Sending his son, who had no experience, out to seek adventure would easily lead to his death. But Wu Lingan couldn't bear it anymore. He had heard these same words for 20,000 years. Even if he was hunted, injured, or even killed outside, he no longer wanted to stay in these deep mountain forests. The others were deeply concerned, feeling that Wu Lingan was still too naive. After 20,000 years, his cultivation remained at the body refining stage. Going out now would be suicide. Wu's family only had this one descendant, and he absolutely couldn't afford to have any accidents. Xiao Yu added from the side that they had just encountered a righteous cultivator. That cultivator had nascent soul stage cultivation, but he was still defeated by brother Lin Gun with just one punch. Upon hearing this, Wu Di couldn't help but feel puzzled. How could a righteous cultivator appear here? And when did his son become so strong? His attitude remained firm, emphasizing that Wu Lingan was still an ordinary person without spiritual roots. Even if he had the strength of the nascent soul stage, how would he deal with even stronger cultivators? He warned against assuming invincibility just because he had coincidentally defeated one or two righteous cultivators. Wu Lingan has no interest in being invincible in the world. What he truly wants to do is to break this damned prison and rescue his father and the others, but that can only be achieved by reaching the tribulation crossing stage. Yet in these deep mountain forests, he can't even break through the body refining stage. Such facts, Wu Lingan shouldn't have known, but someone told him anyway. Wu Di shifted his focus onto the others, and they all pretended not to know. For these 20,000 years, even though Wu Lingan's father had been imprisoned, he had always been striving to protect him. Now that he had grown up, he felt it was his turn to protect his father. Xiao Yu added from the side once again, reminding everyone of something they had forgotten. His Lingun brother, due to remaining in the body refining stage for so long, bore no trace of the aura of the demonic cult. As long as he didn't admit it himself, righteous cultivators wouldn't be able to detect his affiliation with the demonic cult. Wu Di opposed again, stating that this was not feasible. If Lingun were to release even the slightest hint of the demonic cult's aura upon his breakthrough, he would be doomed. He absolutely couldn't accept such consequences. But Wu Lingun turned and walked away, as he had already made up his mind to leave. His father, Wu Di, felt helpless and didn't say much. Instead, he threw out an entry examination qualification for the Xuantian Academy, indicating that he should head there first upon leaving the mountain. The Xuantian Academy, renowned as the foremost righteous sap super cultivation institution, is rumored that anyone who enters can reach at least the golden core stage upon graduation. But Xiao Yu was puzzled. Is it that the stronghold of the righteous cultivators? Wouldn't it be even more dangerous for Lingan to go there? Wu Di believed that the most dangerous place is also the safest place. Righteous cultivators wouldn't expect a demonic cultivator to come to them willingly. Moreover, within the Xuantian Academy, there are countless paths for cultivation advancement, making it the most likely place to find a suitable path for Lingan's cultivation. In the end, Wu Lingan packed his belongings and bid farewell to everyone. Xiao Yu was still asking, curious about how Wu Di, a person who had been sealed and imprisoned, had obtained such a cherished examination qualification. Wu Di didn't answer the reason. He realized that he could no longer protect Lingan. Going to the Xuantian Academy to cultivate was the best way he could think of to ensure Lingan's survival. The secrets within Wu Lingan's being would now be guarded by Xiao Yu, this semi-imperial level 9-tailed fox. Unfortunately, After Wu Lingan and Xiao Yu left, there was no one left to bring them food. They could only hurriedly enjoy their last meal. After bidding farewell, Xiao Yu was about to turn and leave the cave when Wu Di uttered one final sentence. He urged Xiao Yu to remember that the world had reached the brink of collapse, and the power hidden within Lingan must awaken as soon as possible. Time was running out for them. After an unknown amount of time, Wu Lingan finally arrived at the Xuantian Academy. Most people present were queuing to verify their examination qualifications. Sensing the atmosphere of the assessment venue, Wu Lingan felt that he probably hadn't attracted anyone's attention. A proctor stood before a stone lion, instructing all students preparing for the examination to insert their qualification certificates into the lion's mouth. It would automatically authenticate the documents and detect any demonic spies among the examinees. Afterward, the inspection began. The first person passed the inspection without any issues. However, Wu Lingan felt extremely anxious, suspecting that the certificate given by his father might be fake. He had practiced demonic cultivation techniques, so he shouldn't have been detected. Suddenly, a scream came from the other side as the stone lion detected the demonic cultivator and bit down on the person's hand. A chubby boy nearby understood the reason and informed everyone that the stone lion was made of special material. Not only was it extremely hard, but it would also clamp down tightly on anyone it detected as abnormal and wouldn't let go. The failed examinee, identified as a demonic cultivator, continued to plead and explain that he had only forged the certificate and wasn't a demonic cultivator. He was still apprehended by the authorities. The proctor singled out the next person, which happened to be Wu Lingan. Among all the people present, he appeared the most suspicious with his huge luggage, so he was chosen first for inspection. Wu Lingan prayed fervently in his heart, hoping that everything would go smoothly. With trembling hands, he inserted the examination qualification certificate into the mouth of the stone lion. His trembling body even caused the ground to sway slightly, leading the other examinees to believe that an earthquake was happening. The stone lion lit up with a blue light, indicating that the certificate was valid. Just as Wu Lingan breathed a sigh of relief, the stone lion suddenly emitted a red light and snapped its jaws shut on his hand. Although he emerged unscathed, the head of the stone lion was shattered, leaving the proctor standing nearby stunned. He stood there feeling extremely embarrassed, then awkwardly crouched down on the ground, hoping to piece together the shattered head of the stone lion. The proctor realized and believed that Wu Lingan was also a demonic cultivator, so he ordered someone to seize him. Wu Lingan questioned why he was being apprehended when his examination qualification was valid. The proctor explained that the stone lion's detection system automatically attacks when it senses demonic energy, and that's the truth. It was then that Wu Lingan realized that he might have been in contact with his father for too long, hence his body also became tainted with the aura of demonic cultivation. While they were still arguing, Xiao Yu appeared among the crowd and criticized the proctor for arresting people. Before clarifying the situation, she pointed out that the actions of the righteous cultivators were too arbitrary. The proctor retorted, asking why a member of the demon race was interfering in the affairs of the Xuantian Academy. With a smile, Xiao Yu linked her arm with Wu Lingan's, stating that she was his guardian, and therefore had the obligation to intervene in this matter. The term guardian typically refers to someone appointed by a major sect to protect important disciples of the sect. The people around immediately sensed that Wu Lingan must have a significant background. Xiao Yu said to the proctor, "Since you verified that the admission ticket is fine, let's take a closer look at its origin." The proctor glanced at the examination qualification on the ground and discovered that it was an item from the legendary number 1 sect. Xiao Yu explained that this was an item from the number 1 sect in the world, which was destroyed by demonic cultivators 20,000 years ago, and now Wu Lingan is its sole descendant. The surrounding people were puzzled. Could such a powerful sect as the number 1 sect in the world be destroyed by demonic cultivators? The chubby guy nearby explained again that this sect was simply called the number 1 sect, but it was not necessarily the strongest sect in terms of power, because the examination qualification certificate belonged to a sect that had already been destroyed by demonic cultivators. It was not difficult to understand why it carried a trace of demonic aura. The subordinate next to the inspector whispered to him, "It seems like this kid, Wu Lingun, inadvertently obtained the inheritance of the number one sect. Now, relations between righteous cultivators and demonic beings are delicate. We should handle this matter with caution." After pondering for a moment, the proctor decided that Wu Lingun had successfully passed the inspection and was allowed entry into the Xuantian Academy. Xiao Yu reassured Wu Lingun not to be too nervous and reminded him to maintain his usual demeanor. As Wu Lingun pondered over what his usual state was, he tried to recall his typical behavior. Inside a tower, instructor Mei Yanli of Xuantian Academy was observing the group of students preparing for the assessment. Beside him, the master Huang of the mechanical pavilion was chatting with him, remarking that this year's new students had a decent quality, with quite a few promising ones among them. Even the Hehuan sect and the sword control sect have sent people over here to study. The male representative is Zhang Ma, the junior sect master of the Hehuan sect, and the female representative is Bai Di from the sword control peak. Zhang Ma, upon seeing the beautiful Bai Di, asked if she would like to dual cultivate with him, but Bai Di responded coldly and told him to get lost. She was a super genius who broke through the foundation building stage at the age of 11, and she found no one among the newcomers of the Xuantian Academy worth her attention. Just as her father had said, at this moment, Instructor Mei noticed a strange individual among the new students, who was none other than Wu Lingun, who was currently exercising just like he usually did. Master Huang chuckled lightly. He suggested that this new student probably just broke through the qi refining stage and wanted to show off his strength. Instructor Mei concluded that exaggerated characters like Wu Lingun would not even pass the first assessment. Following that, Instructor Mei leaped gracefully into the air, impressively hovering there. The new students couldn't help but admire the fact that he was indeed an instructor at the Xuantian Academy, capable of aerial flight. Instructor Mei is the examiner for this new student assessment. He will proceed to conduct entrance tests for the new students, and only those who pass all the assessments will qualify to become disciples of the Xuantian Academy. The exercising Wu Lingun narrowed his eyes slightly, keeping his gaze fixed on the instructor, and noticed that Instructor Mei looked oddly familiar. Instructor Mei suddenly became very angry, feeling extremely displeased with Wu Lingun's intense gaze, and demanded to know why he was staring at him like that. Wu Lingun explained that there was a reflection from the thread hanging behind Instructor Mei. The people present were momentarily at a loss for words, and to make matters worse, the thread continued to descend until it stopped at a distance that was exactly face to face between Instructor Mei and Wu Lingun. Instructor Mei could only awkwardly pat Wu Lingun on the shoulder, indicating that he had high hopes for the young man in front of him. However, before he could finish speaking, he was pulled back. At this point, he was quite angry because it was agreed that the thread would stop when it reached the designated position, but now it hadn't. Everyone inwardly criticized, realizing that all of this was fake. The instructor of the Xuantian Academy couldn't even fly in the air. Meanwhile, Master Huang expressed concern for Wu Lingun, noting that Instructor Mei was a petty person, and if offended, Wu Lingun would likely face more trouble than good in the future. Instructor Mei spread his hands, and his clothes were torn into countless pieces by a powerful force, revealing his muscular physique. He explained that the earlier display was just to liven up the atmosphere, and now he would proceed with the first round of the test in earnest. Wu Lingun was puzzled as to why Instructor Mei would burst his clothes just for a test. Suspecting that the instructor might be angry, he considered whether he should apologize. The surrounding new students were intimidated by Instructor Mei's imposing demeanor. The chubby boy nearby affirmed confidently that this was the legendary sandbag holy body, although the sandbag holy body couldn't cultivate actively and couldn't even use spells. It could absorb the attacks of others, capture the released spiritual energy, and use it for itself. In other words, the stronger the opponent, the stronger the sandbag holy body's owner. Moreover, attacks below a certain level would be completely immune. The surrounding new students marveled at how powerful Instructor Mei was, but Wu Lingun was thinking that he had to be beaten to become stronger. Did that mean only masochists could become cultivators? Instructor Mei continued, saying, "Now, He need the examinees to use their spiritual energy and give him a punch. He will assess the strength, talent, and future potential based on the attacks. Instructor May looked at the seemingly intimidated Wu Lingun. This kid dared to offend him just now. Regardless of his talent and strength later, he was determined to eliminate this kid. As expected, the first person to be tested was Wu Lingun. He sincerely warned Instructor May that he was very strong and asked Instructor to be prepared. Instructor May was amused by this, stating that even a divine transformation stage cultivator might not be able to harm him, let alone a mere freshman with some strength. However, before he could finish speaking, he was sent flying with a punch, crashing through numerous walls. At that moment, Wu Lingun realized he had messed up and might be in serious trouble. The smoke from the explosion cleared, revealing Instructor May lying unconscious amidst the rubble, foam bubbling from his mouth. Wu Lingun turned around and asked others if this counted as passing the assessment, but no one dared to speak to him. Meanwhile, Xiaoyu was also on the rooftop nearby, delighted to see that Wu Lingun was able to attract everyone's attention during the assessment. The new students then turned to the chubby boy for answers, as he had previously mentioned that attacks below the divine transformation stage wouldn't affect Master May. But now, they were puzzled by the current situation. The chubby boy couldn't provide a satisfactory response. On the other hand, ID looked at Wu Lingun, contemplating that perhaps she wasn't the only one hiding their true strength. At this moment, Master Huang finally arrived at the scene, stating that the force of that punch was akin to that of someone in the later stages of the nascent soul stage. Just then, Instructor May, who had regained consciousness, rushed over to Wu Lingun and angrily confronted him. He accused Wu Lingun of being a jerk for launching a surprise attack when he wasn't prepared and for instructing the new students to target his stomach instead of his face. Everyone suddenly realized that it was because Instructor May wasn't prepared just now. No wonder the legendary sandbag physique couldn't withstand a punch. Instructor May announced that the previous test didn't count, and if such tricks were used again, he would directly judge Wu Lingun as losing his qualification for admission. Instructor May let out a sigh and emitted a golden glow all over his body. The chubby boy explained in amazement, "It's the immovable sandbag. It's the strongest defensive move of the sandbag holy body. It can convert all of one's strength into defensive power." The immovable sandbag is a move that Instructor May specifically uses to test tribulation crossing stage cultivators. He's very confident that even if this kid exerts all his strength, he won't be able to move him an inch. Everyone cheered as they saw Wu Lingun punch again, because this time, Instructor May didn't even budge an inch. Not even his feet moved. But only Master Wang knew that it wasn't that Instructor May didn't move an inch, but rather he was knocked unconscious while still standing by the punch. To salvage the reputation of the Xuantian Academy, he quickly intervened and announced that Instructor May wasn't feeling well today, so the first round would be considered passed by everyone regardless. Because everyone passed the first round of assessment, they were all very happy, wondering what stage Wu Lingun was in to be so strong. Zhang Ma stepped forward, and the two introduced themselves to each other. Zhang Ma felt that Wu Lingun's performance just now was not bad, so he reluctantly agreed to recognize Wu Lingun as his brother. The chubby guy who had been answering questions for everyone before also came up to meet Wu Lingun. He was Tianji from the Celestial Insight sect, known for providing the most accurate intelligence. Despite specializing in gathering information, Tianji had no information about Wu Lingun, so he handed over a blank sheet of paper, hoping to obtain some personal information about him. The familiar feeling made Wu Lingun see his past self. However, Tianji's first question made Wu Lingun very nervous. He asked which sect he belonged to. Wu Lingun could only lie and say he was a wandering cultivator. A beautiful young woman with white hair walked over. She couldn't stand Wu Lingun's attention-seeking behavior and warned him that she would make him understand the gap between him and a genius. Then she turned and left, leaving behind a graceful figure that caught everyone's attention. Master Huan from the Mechanism Pavilion stepped forward at this moment and warned everyone not to rejoice too soon. With a press of the controller switch in his hand, a square iron box appeared, and the new students were forced into it. They looked around and noticed many mechanical puppets placed nearby. At this point, Master Huang began to introduce himself and explain that he was the examiner for the second round of tests. The mechanical puppets appearing in the square were all created by the mechanism pavilion. During the assessment, they would continuously launch mechanical projectile attacks at them. The assessment lasts for the duration of an incense stick burning, and during this time, if they retreat, the mechanical puppets will cease their attacks. The fewer times they are hit, the higher their score will be. Master Huang mocked. For those of you who lack strength, barely passing through is not a good thing because the projectiles launched by the mechanical puppets are indeed lethal. This place is also known as the graveyard of examinees. The assessment began, and everyone scattered to avoid the arrow attacks. The speed of the arrows was incredibly fast. Even the confident Zhang Ma was hit in the chest, much to Master Huang's disappointment. Bai Di from the sword control set swiftly wielded her long sword to prevent herself from being hit by arrows, demonstrating unexpectedly strong resilience compared to others. Suddenly, a loud noise rang out as Wu Linggun managed to bury that entire arrow launcher mechanism underground along with the puppet. He let out a sigh of relief, knowing that the projectiles couldn't reach him anymore. This cheating behavior infuriated Master Huang because the test was about speed. If the puppet were to be destroyed again, he would disqualify Wu Linggun. Wu Linggun apologized profusely. He was unaware of the test rules. Bai Di watched Wu Linggun's behavior and thought that men were creatures who liked to show off, and Instructor Mei, who woke up at some point, snatched the controller. He decided to let this arrogant kid directly experience the strength of these puppets. The next moment, the puppet began to transform. This form of puppet had the strength exceeding that of the Golden Core stage. Some complained, wondering if they even wanted anyone to pass this test anymore. Moreover, as Tianji, who had been struck by the arrows, noticed with surprise, the arrows from the puppet were coated with a potent poison, causing dizziness and blurred vision in those hit. Master Huang rebuked Instructor Mei for going too far, as it could lead to casualties. However, he felt it didn't matter, as neither of them wanted that arrogant kid to pass the test. On the other side, the powerful mechanical puppets continued to launch attacks against Wu Linggun, but he managed to evade all of them. However, when he looked back, he realized that the enhanced mechanical puppets were causing harm to the others. Seeing that Wu Linggun emerged unscathed, Instructor Mei activated several more mechanical puppets to surround him. Wu Linggun was about to counterattack, but Instructor Mei emphasized once again that if the mechanical puppets were destroyed, the person who caused the damage would be immediately disqualified. This made Wu Linggun have to stop his movements, not daring to act. Others breathed a sigh of relief, as the puppets were all targeting the same person, making it much easier for them. However, being surrounded by so many puppets without being able to fight back, everyone felt that Wu Linggun's situation was grim. As all the puppets attacked, Wu Linggun came up with a solution. He leaped into the air and began to fly, stunning everyone around. People speculated about his true strength, as flying typically required at least the Golden Core stage. Someone explained why Wu Linggun did this. They clarified that he wasn't using spiritual energy to fly but instead relied entirely on the power of his legs to jump up. Then, he utilized the force generated by continuously stomping downwards to counteract the force of gravity, leaving people astonished at just how strong his physical body must be. Instructor Mei had a gloomy expression as it directed the mechanical puppets to attack the spot where Wu Linggun was descending. Despite the strength of his physical body, there were limits, and maintaining levitation couldn't last indefinitely. The current situation was highly unfavorable for Wu Linggun. He couldn't destroy the puppets, and getting hit would result in deductions. He was at a loss about what to do next. At that moment, he looked towards Bai Di, who was blocking the projectiles with her sword, and suddenly came up with a plan. He stepped on an arrow shaft, then leaped towards where the girl in white was. Bai Di looked at the boy, who jumped in front of her with a question in her eyes, not knowing what he was up to. Suspecting him to be the pervert her father warned her about. However, the next moment, Wu Linggun actually dodged left and right behind Bai Di, while the girl could only help him block the projectiles that were coming towards them. Understanding the situation, Bai Di angrily exclaimed, "Don't treat me as your shield." Wu Linggun had no choice. Although he felt extremely embarrassed, this was the only solution he could think of. Bai Di turned around and swung her sword towards the boy's head, but he easily dodged it. Holding her sword pointed at the boy, she decided that she had to deal with this annoying guy first. So, the scene showed Wu Lingun dodging the attacks of the projectiles while also evading the girl's pursuit. Everyone greatly admired Wu Lingun. He made the exams for others much easier, and being able to survive being attacked from both sides was truly impressive. Instructor Mei watched the boy, who seemed almost unable to escape, and burst into laughter, which caught the boy's attention. This helped him find a way out of the predicament, and the key was the incense stick that Instructor Mei was holding for timing. Wu Lingun turned around, took a deep breath, leaving Instructor Mei puzzled. Why was the boy facing imminent danger, taking deep breaths in place? Wu Lingun's inhalation and exhalation actually stirred up a massive airflow, leaving everyone in the vicinity bewildered. No one knew what he was up to, and Instructor Mei thought the boy was just bluffing. After the gust of wind passed, both Instructor Mei and Master Huang found their hair standing on end. Despite this, Instructor Mei remained angry, rebuking Wu Lingun for his futile efforts, asserting that he couldn't possibly pass this test. Wu Lingun interrupted Instructor Mei's scolding to point out that the incense used for timing had already burned out, indicating that the test had ended. Master Huang was greatly surprised at this revelation. He wondered how Wu Lingun managed to accelerate the burning speed of the incense so rapidly. What was going on with his body? Other examinees suddenly perceived a deeper intention behind Wu Lingun's actions. They believed he was advocating for the benefit of the male examinees because, under the raging wind, the clothes of Bai Di, who was relatively close to him, were torn apart, revealing the girl's seductive body, which stirred everyone's hearts. Bai Di's face grew increasingly red. She threw a harsh remark at Wu Lingun before hastily running away. Wu Lingun looked innocent and didn't understand what he had done wrong. From afar, applause rang out, and everyone turned to see a bald, red-haired old man. He exclaimed, "It's been so many years. It's been a long time since I've encountered such an interesting group of new students. This year's entrance exam is indeed full of vitality and competitiveness." The speaking old man is none other than the dean of Xuantian Academy, Yu Tianxing. The crowd, observing the almost falling wig of the dean, began to realize that this old man might be somewhat unreliable. However, the most well-informed Tanji claimed that this dean was none other than the legendary Crimson Flame warlord, Yu Tianxing. Rumors have it that this individual was a terrifying presence, who slaughtered numerous demon cultivators experts 20,000 years ago. His decisive killings shocked even the righteous cultivators, and his red hair was said to be stained with the blood of demon cultivators. Although his reputation sounds formidable, some people still wonder, why is his iconic red hair fake? At this moment, the dean spoke up, asking for Wu Lingun's name. Meanwhile, Xiaoyu on the rooftop was puzzled by the sudden appearance of the dean of the Xuantian Academy. Moreover, Wu Lingun had already blown the dean's wig off before he approached. Xiaoyu felt the need to intervene promptly to salvage the situation. So, she telepathically told Wu Lingun that he blew off the dean's wig just now, and he should quickly help him put it back on before the dean realizes it. On the other side, Instructor Mei also wanted to remind the dean about his wig nearly falling off, but the dean directly interrupted Mei's words and told him that while Wu Lingun's actions to pass the test were indeed a bit reckless, one should be magnanimous. If Instructor Mei were as strong as the dean, he wouldn't care about such trivial matters. Ultimately, it boils down to Instructor Mei's insufficient strength. The lecturing dean, completely unaware that his wig had fallen off entirely, Wu Lingun quietly approached from behind. Seizing the moment when the wig slipped off, he swiftly placed it back onto the dean's head. The dean, belatedly realizing what had happened, was astonished by Wu Lingun's speed. If it weren't for his keen eyesight, he wouldn't have noticed at all. Wu Lingun greeted the dean and informed him that something had fallen off him just now. He had picked it up for him, so there was no need for the dean to be too grateful. Instructor Mei exclaimed as he noticed an arrow on the dean's head, indicating that he was injured. Xiaoyu on the rooftop was also in a panic. It turned out that Wu Lingun had confused the red wig with the arrow. Instructor Mei grabbed Wu Lingun's collar and loudly questioned why he attacked the dean. Wu Lingun explained that he accidentally mistook the situation. The dean, bleeding from the wound on his head, remained calm on the side, stating that the arrow couldn't hurt him. However, the next moment, everyone noticed that the bleeding on the dean's head was not stopping, appearing to be quite serious. The dean refused to acknowledge the reality, stubbornly claiming that it was intentional. Then, he casually pulled the arrow out from his head without any concern. Unfortunately, a mishap occurred. Blood gushed from the dean's head like a fountain, and he collapsed due to excessive bleeding. It was then realized that the stubborn old man was actually on stilts, confirming his unreliability. To swiftly conclude the farce, Master Huang announced on the spot that all remaining candidates on the field were considered to have passed the second round of tests. He also declared that the sorting test for the third round would commence at noon tomorrow. After his announcement, he hurriedly assisted Instructor Mei in escorting the dean for medical attention. In a dim corner, plotting schemes against the protagonist duo, stood Xiao Chuanhua, the intern instructor at the Xuantian Academy. At night, everyone returned to their rooms with injuries, except for Wu Lingun, who silently exercised with dumbbells. He knew he needed to strengthen himself further to pass tomorrow's assessment as well. Xiao Yu explained on the side that tomorrow's class allocation test was indeed crucial because only by entering a better class could one access more cultivation resources. She also suggested that Wu Lingun should balance work and rest. For instance, by trying her medicinal wine massage to relax his exercised body. But from Xiao Yu's strange expression, Wu Lingun knew it wasn't a serious massage. In order to get close to her crush, Xiao Yu pretended to be very excited, ran over, but fell into Wu Lingun's arms. The two naturally embraced each other, and Xiao Yu was secretly delighted. Her plan had succeeded. Outside the room, the embarrassing events of the day made Bai Di more and more angry, and she was determined to seek revenge on Wu Lingun. Just then, she happened to pass by Wu Lingun's room and heard some strange noises. She turned back to look at the shadow on the window, thinking that Wu Lingun was committing murder. But upon careful consideration, she realized that since he had just arrived at Xuantian Academy, how could he possibly be committing murder in his room? So she decided to observe first to see what was going on. But the next moment, she saw what appeared to be Wu Lingun committing murder again, and she was greatly surprised. She felt that she had found evidence of his crime. Inside the room, it was actually Xiao Yu who took out an iron jump rope weighing 3,000 kilograms, allowing Wu Lingun to continue his exercise. Xiao Yu looked at the spilled medicated wine on the ground with regret and decided to clean it up first. Inadvertently, she fell onto the window. Outside, ID was startled, thinking she was too late to rescue and that someone had already been brutally murdered. Wu Lingun became concerned for Xiao Yu, who had fallen. He noticed her clothes were soaked and went to the wardrobe to find clean clothes for her. At that moment, the door was kicked open, and Bai Di stormed in with her sword drawn, ready to apprehend who she believed to be the murderer. However, she caught sight of the scene where Wu Lingun was about to change Xiao Yu's clothes. Bai Di was once again shocked and pale, accusing Wu Lingun, the murderer, of not even letting the body rest in peace. But the term murderer triggered Wu Lingun's association with his demonic sect identity, making him think it had been exposed. He wanted to explain to the girl holding the sword. Bai Di didn't listen at all. She swung her long sword and launched an attack, but Wu Lingun agilely dodged it. She attacked again, sending a blue beam of light forward. Wu Lingun simply threw a light punch, dispersing the attack effortlessly. Bai Di, on the other side, was left dumbfounded, as this person had shattered her own technique with just his physical body. Before she could calm down, Wu Lingun swiftly moved behind Bai Di and delivered a swift blow to her neck. The struck girl collapsed to the ground. Due to the need to conceal his identity, Wu Lingun employed a technique known as memory erasure palm strike. Its principle involved infusing power into the palm and directly affecting the opponent's brain through the attack, ultimately influencing the person's memory. Simply put, it left the opponent momentarily dazed. Seeing Bai Di lying on the ground, unable to get up, Wu Lingun suggested taking advantage of her unconsciousness to quickly return her to her own room. If they waited any longer, there might be trouble. So, Wu Lingun took Bai Di out and brought her to the appropriate location. During this time, when the girl woke up, he performed memory erasure again. Afterwards, Wu Lingon realized that he didn't exactly know which room the girl lived in, so he awkwardly remained in place. In the meantime, while peeking from behind, Tianji observed the two individuals embracing each other intimately from their backs and began to suspect the relationship between them.